a while of frigging around to get the camera mounted up there, and I don't really know why I put it there. See all the idiot lights out on my instrument panel. Or not out, but on. Have I mentioned my car's falling apart? No, don't think I mentioned that. So what was I going to talk about? I wonder. We're going to do something new, because I did the math, and I have to do 240. Actually, I didn't do the math. Somebody else did the math. I can't take credit for it. I have to do 240 10-minute videos per year. Okay, that's no problem. And I need 10 people to watch each video in its entirety, and then I will meet the minimum YouTube monetization guidelines. The wrinkle there being, I don't know if this content can be monetized. Whatever. I do it because I love it, right? It has nothing to do with the money. And so far I have 0 subscribers. That's the other thing. I need 1,000 subscribers. So far I have 0. This will be probably the 7th video I actually publish. I have some other videos that I did that I don't know if I'm going to publish, because they're just not that good, and I need really good content if I'm going to get anywhere with this. And I'm pretty discouraged. I saw somebody else on YouTube talking about different drugs, and I thought, you know what, I can squeeze a few videos out of that, so I'm going to talk about a bunch of drugs. I'll pick a different one every day, and we'll see where that gets us. That should be 20 minutes a day, pretty easily. I mean, I could talk for hours and hours and hours about just about any given drug, except for cannabis, which I don't give 2 shits about. And frankly, there's so much information out there now on cannabis that I have absolutely nothing I could add to that conversation, especially since I don't know anything about it other than most of it makes me paranoid. So we can consider cannabis covered. And I thought, what do I do next? And I thought, well, I'm gonna try. Okay, why are you wearing a sandwich board? Can you see this guy? Pre-proven complaint, corrupt RCMP. Goddamn right, buddy. You know what? I'm gonna go back and see this guy. I can't honk because my horn doesn't work, but we're gonna. Yeah, what are you looking at, doughhead? So, This could be interesting. Where did he go? Where did he go? Where is he? There he is. Hey, brother.
Hey.
I wanted to honk, show some support, but my horn doesn't work. I don't know what happened to you, but
I filed 3 complaints against the RCMP, corruption, incompetence, and they lied and denied it, and it's still ongoing.
is there anywhere I can is there anywhere I can get information, show you some support or anything, or?
Oh, I'll be down there every now and then in the corner. There's a wave. That's all I need.
All right. Well, if I get my horn fixed, I'll honk. But
okay.
yeah, I've been through some absolutely unbelievable. Like people don't believe it when you tell them.
Exactly.
It's so unbelievable. They say, no, you got to be making it up.
Yeah, that's my problem, right?
Yeah, and I'm with you, brother. I hope things work out, man.
Yeah, what I've learned about the RCMP in the last 5 years, they're a national fucking disgrace.
They're a gang. They're worse than Hell's Angels or Bacchus. They're at least those guys have they've got some code of ethics in there somewhere. But
they are organized crime.
They are, yeah.
When it comes to a cover-up,
yeah.
I don't care about the laws or the public or anything, right?
I hear you. Well, look, I'm sorry you had to go through that, but I hope it turns out, man.
I'm up for it.
And you've got my support.
Yeah, I appreciate your help. Thanks.
Good to talk to you.
Guy.
Thanks. How do you like that? You never know what's going to happen on live TV. So, geez, that got me all kind of pumped up and excited. I want to talk about that now, but because I've had dealings with the RCMP since I was a kid, and they started out on the right side of the law. I was actually wanted to be an RCMP. Specifically, I wanted to be in traffic accident reconstruction. But over time, doing ride-alongs with them before I got my driver's license, and then after I got my driver's license, I learned a whole lot about how things work, and then when I got involved in drugs, I learned a whole lot more. And I would trust that guy standing back there on the side of the road with my wallet before I trust a cop. In fact, remind me, shit, did I bring my wallet? Yeah. Everybody needs to have one of these in your wallet. I don't know if you can see it. Exercising your rights. It's actually a two-side card. This was done up by a lawyer. I got it through my affiliation with an organization that often has problems with the police. Know your rights. Know them. The police, either you can count on them, they don't know them, or if they do know them, they'll violate them. They will, but that's not what I'm here to tell you. We'll talk about that another time, because I want to have everything ready and fresh in my mind. I don't want to just go off the cuff on that one because it's just too unbelievable. So, I'm going to talk about drugs, and I thought the easiest way to do this is I'm going to start with the first real drug that I used. The first drugs I used were opiates. I had access to some Tylenol 3, hydromorphone. The first time I got high was off Stadol, which is butorphanol. It's an opiate. It's a nasal spray used for treating severe migraines or pain. Maybe not migraines. Opiates to treat migraines. That's dicey because opiates can actually cause migraines sometimes. So I can't remember what that was prescribed for. It wasn't for me, so it didn't really matter. But that was when I realized, oh boy, alcohol is obsolete. But I didn't really. That was just once or twice kind of thing, very infrequently. It just wasn't. It was something that was around. It was in the house. I had access to it, but it just didn't. I don't know. I just never thought of it. When I first actually started thinking about drugs, and the first time I used drugs, oh my god, if you're not recording, I'm gonna flip the fuck out. Okay, you're recording. Good stuff. Excellent. You're gonna have to wait 1 second and I'll tell you. Again. Okay, so I'm gonna make this quick. You can read about it on my blog. I know what you're doing. I know what you're doing. You're not paying attention there, Chicky Boo. Ah, you're going in for your methadone. I know you. You can tell the ones that are going in for their daily dose. They look like they crawled out from under a rock on Skid Row. Get that look in their eyes. Subhuman garbage. Huh. I think she was DTF though. So yeah, first drug I'm going to talk about is MDMA. I love talking about drugs because everybody who's ever done a drug or watched a television show about a drug, they think they're an expert on it because they assume that somehow they have more experience than you do. And that's often a faulty assumption. And it amuses me and frustrates me at the same time. Everybody who took a hit of ecstasy at a concert when they were in university or high school is, a world-renowned expert on Molly. And most people just, they don't even know what drugs they're doing, and there's very few exceptions to that. MDMA, 3,4-methylene dioxymethylamphetamine. I'm not going to say most of what people are doing isn't that, but if you go to like Dance Safe, Roll Safe, there's all kinds of online resources where these drugs are tested anonymously. In the case of MDMA, it can be all kinds of things. Usually it's just meth. or a lot of meth. And let me tell you, that's not even similar. There are some cool analogs that you might get lucky and get, like 6 APD or 5 MAPD shit, you know. I used to know all those codes, so now I'm sounding like an idiot. What you often get is MDA, or a combination of MDMA and MDA, depending on how the MDMA was synthesized and how well it was done. MDA on its own is actually a pretty great drug. Some people prefer it to MDMA. It's a little more energetic, a little more visual. I love it, but I can't say I pick a favorite. The way it works and how I found it, and what changed my mind about doing drugs at all, was in the attempt to self-diagnose and cure the depression I've been living with my whole life, that nobody been able to help me with. And I was not sold on the idea of antidepressants. I was reading a book on neuroscience, trying to figure out, okay, well, how does the brain work? Putting up, positive reinforcement and telling myself I'm a good person in the mirror every morning, and hanging up little signs of joy, life, wasn't working for me. So I thought, let's try and understand what's going on. Let's try and understand the actual chemistry. And there's two things that make you happy: dopamine and serotonin. And serotonin is really, that's the magic one. Serotonin that's your sense of well-being. That is happiness. And MDMA works by you're not taking serotonin, but the drug triggers a release of the serotonin that's in your brain. It triggers this massive release. So you're basically flooding your serotonin system with available serotonin. And when I read that, I thought, oh my god, this is so cool. I have to try this, because it was kind of at that point that I realized I don't know if I've ever experienced that kind of happiness. Now, you're not going to get MDMA level happiness by winning Monopoly, but through different activities, the brain will release serotonin selectively if everything's working properly. So I discovered this drug, or I found out about it. I had no connection to the drug world, drug culture, and I was trying to figure out, oh my god, I'm gonna have to make this. I'm actually gonna have to synthesize it. So I downloaded all kinds of recipes, if you will, how to synthesize MDMA, and from precursor materials that were a little more readily available. And there's a problem with possessing precursors that boggles my mind. if the police find you have precursors for a particular drug, instead of being charged with simple possession, they they take the approach of, so you're going to produce this drug. So all of a sudden, what would have been a fairly benign possession charge can turn into production and distribution, which is pretty crazy, especially considering that the precursors themselves are not inherently illegal unless they can prove that that's what you're using them for. Then I discovered the dark market and everything changed. I'll tell you about the dark markets on another video. But all of a sudden, the whole world of drugs was at my fingertips. And I'm going to run out of time. I can't stress enough, you've got to test. You've got to test. And with MDMA, you hear stuff like people say, this stuff is moon rocks, this is champagne, this is, there's all kinds of these gimmicky names. It's MDMA or it's not. It's a chemical, right? 3,4 methylene-deoxymethylamphetamine. It either is that or it isn't. It's not like wine. It's not like a Chardonnay where you start with the same grape and however you handle it is going to give you some kind of crazy different experience or taste profile. Well, of course, drugs can taste different, but it is or it isn't. Don't buy into this shit about it being some MDMA being different than others, and there's so much more to talk about. What am I gonna do? Because I want to upload this video. I'll leave it. If you want to hear more about MDMA, drop me something in the comments, okay? I'm not going to encourage you to do drugs, but I am going to say that my experience with MDMA did not disappoint. Go check out my blog. I wrote about it. Let's do that. I'm going to tell you a little bit. Go to sixfathomsdeep.com, check out my blog, read about it. If you want to hear me talk about it some more, comment there, comment here. I just got interrupted by that guy. Maybe I'll do a second part on MDMA because it's that fantastic. It's worth talking about. It's worth doing right. And just remember, whatever you think you know about drugs, I know more than you do. So if I say something and you're like, no, that's not true, I'm sorry, you're wrong. But the silver lining there is it's an opportunity for you to learn, and by the time you're done listening to me, you will be smarter than everyone else, and that's pretty cool. That makes it worth tuning in. Alright, out of here.